Hey everybody, it's Chris, and I'm going to do a commentary on my Dead Mall video that I shot a couple of weeks ago. I'm going to talk about the Midway Mall, which was built in 1966. It had three anchors, major anchors. The first was Sears, which is still there, and Penny's, which is still there. I love that architecture. And the third major anchor was Higbee's, this is what it looked like right before it opened in 1966. And this is what it looks like today. It was later turned into a Dillard's, which closed in 2007. And it's just still sitting there. On the other side of the Higbee's building, this is the side north entrance, and we will go into the mall. Now, I shot this about a week before Thanksgiving. It was very cold, so I'm trying to get in the mall very quickly. All that shimmering, that is from the anti-shake software. Trust me, it would be a lot harder to watch this without that. And there's the old Higbee's entrance. There actually used to be a really cool fountain right here. Had these tall, semicircular lines in the ceiling that had hot wax or hot oil dripping down them. And it was very, very cool. And the Payless shoes. I'll talk more about the west wing of the mall a little later, but we're going to head directly toward the north entrance, which led to the JCPenney's and something called Regal Shoes, which I don't remember at all, which today looks like this. And they have that big bungee thing that the kids bounce on there. And this sad arcade was originally the Camelot Music, where I bought many records and videotapes and cassettes. I never see anyone in there. And across from there is the American Commodore Tuxedo, which has been there forever. And where that train is fenced in was originally a card store, like a Hallmark or an Abbott's, I don't remember. And the space on the end here, which was the shoe store, was a jewelry store for a long time, and then it closed down, and now it's just filled with seats. They put couches and stuff in there. And again, this was shot on a Friday night around 7 o'clock. Mall was pretty dead. It's pretty sad. A little play area that was built by the Jacobs brothers when they took over the mall in the late 1980s. That's when the major renovations happened. That's when the mall became very beige. They added a lot of skylights. They took out some skylights. They changed some things around. A lot of remodeling. They've used those same decorations for years. But one of the things they didn't touch was the front of the JCPenney's. This Penny's building, the front of it looks, except for the sign, looks exactly the way it did almost 50 years ago. All that stonework, and I can't really tell from here, but all those slabs of stone above the JCPenney are all like little pebbles, all indented into that stone. So that's pretty cool. But you can still see the holes on the other side where the original Penny sign was. Now looking down from the east wing, this was a postcard I have from the 1970s. You can see Winkleman's and a couple other things there in the old Penny sign. And this is what it looks like today. Same view, a lot brighter. Like I said, they added a lot more skylights back then. As we head into the East Wing, and you'll see down to the right there is the entrance to Best Buy. When Best Buy took over that space, which was originally Woolworth's, there was not a back entrance to Best Buy into the mall. You could only get it from the front, but they changed that, so you can actually go in through there. And again, several stores closed at this end of the mall. Toward the Sears, this is the Sears wing, the East Wing. When Woolworths closed, then the back end of it became this clothing store on one side, and then to the left there, next to the beauty place, is a place called, there's a dollar store, and there was something called Art and More, which was originally, or before that was a Limited Express, and before that was the Midway Mall Cinemas, Twin Cinemas. It was started off as a single screen in 1967. About 10 years later, they twinned it, and about 10 years later, it was gone. The last movie I saw there was The Untouchables. And the Sears was part of the remodel in the 80s. It hasn't changed since then. Looks exactly the same. In fact, I was in a nearly identical Sears at Great Lakes Mall in Mentor. Apparently they were built about a year apart and have the exact same setup. They look exactly the same. But I'm not going to show you the inside of Sears. It can be pretty boring. So we're going to jump to the south wing of the mall, where this was an expansion done in the late 89, I believe. Back there's a Macy's, several stores, and that wooden thing toward the end there, that's an empty store that was originally Camelot Music. This is where Camelot Music moved to in 1989, and I worked there for a couple of years. When it closed, it became something called Baskets of Blessings that sold like signs and candles and old-timey stuff. And that putt-putt place, there's hardly anyone over there. And across the way was the Suncoast Motion Picture Company, which I miss. And another jewelry store. Back in the day, one thing Midway was known for primarily was its shoe stores and its jewelry stores. And in the south wing has its own little side entrance over here. But again, there's a few stores that are still open at this end of the mall. I mean, the PacSun closed a couple of years ago. But there's still like a Game Trade. There's still Bath and Body Works, Christopher Banks, Dakota Watch Company. There's a new sports place. But as you head back down from the south wing, and a little further down to the right is the original food court, which had 10 restaurants. And this side of it, everything is closed. Hasn't been anything on this side for a while. And on the opposite side of the food court, there are only 3 restaurants left. The Taco Bell closed a couple of months ago, so it's the JJ Barbecue, the Yihi Japan, and Steak USA, and that's the only places you can eat in the food court. There are a couple places toward the front of the mall, but that's it. This is the only corridor in the mall where all of the stores are open. The wireless store, the Auntie Anne's, the Mally's Chocolates, the Spencer's, the Lids. There are no closed stores in this wing of the mall, which is pretty rare. When you head out of that wing and you head toward the west wing, this is what it looked like back in the 1960s and 70s, when it was still a Higbee's. And this is what it looks like today. And one of the things in the remodel, they lost all of their fountains. And they planted palm trees. This was an American Eagle. When the Dillards closed in 2007, most of the other stores closed in this wing of the mall. There are only 3 stores left in the West Wing, and that's the Regis Hair Salon, the Payless Shoes, and the Dunham Sports, which before that I believe was a Steve & Barry's, and before that it had been several stores at this end of the mall. More in store. That sign has been up for a very, very long time. And here we are at the outside of the Higbee's building. I love those benches. Those benches have been there since the mall opened, almost 50 years ago. And that Staples across the way was originally a Rini Rigo's or Fisher Fazio's, I don't remember. It was a grocery store. And heading south again, there's those great pillars and the Higbee's building. And around the corner, there's another set of pillars, which this was originally the back end of the mall until the expansion. And they built this hallway leading to the brand new food court. Here's the back of many closed stores. Leading to the Macy's, which was originally a Kaufmann's, and then was briefly a May Company, and then it's been Macy's for several years. And about a year after the mall expanded, across the parking lot, a new building went up. General Cinema built an 8-screen movie theater, the Midway Mall 8, which I opened. I worked there for about 3 years. And except for the fact that they've gone digital, nothing else has been done to this building. I went in there about a year ago. I don't really see movies there. I went in there just to look around, and it looks exactly the same way it did 25 years ago. Down to the carpeting, the seats, the concession, all looks exactly the same. But it's some independent owns it now. I don't know who it is. Anyway, we're coming to the end of the video. Hope you enjoyed it. And if I can get out there, maybe I'll do one of these for Chapel Hill. Anyway, thanks for watching.